Let's do some colonizer free astrology, because you asked, I looked into it, and the things that I have found are so fascinating. Just in case any of you are new around here, 3 things you should know. 1, there's 108 star signs, not 12. You have multiple birth charts, not just one. And my favorite thing is you change star signs throughout your whole life. I did a full breakdown on my Patreon, so if you want to read the full article, go there. But let me share some of the highlights. I don't know if it's right to call them highlights. I basically found interesting things. So number 1, all of these women were destined to essentially inherit more wealth through marriage. In Vedic astrology, we have something known as Indu Lagna. It basically is like a cosmic line that represents how money will flow to somebody. So Princess Diana, her Indu Lagna is in Kritika. Kritika, if you're new around here, is Aries type 9 and Taurus type 1 to 3. And it's literally symbolized by a flaming sword. And it's the same sign as her Venus that sits in the 7th house. So what's really interesting is Kritika talks about ties being severed, someone who illuminates the truth. So whilst, yeah, she was always going to inherit wealth through her spouse, she would feel no type of way about cutting off money or being free of it in the name of her independence. And at some point, it was definitely weaponized against her to stay in a certain relationship. And we find the same pattern in Kate's chart. So Kate's Indu Lagna is in Ashleisha, that is Cancer type 6 to 9. Ashleisha literally represents someone who is deeply protective, somewhat can be very vicious, but they will not give up their treasure. Again, in Kate's chart, we see that her Indu Lagna is impacted by the person that represents her life partner. And unfortunately, we see the same pattern, that this money or wealth is weaponized or used against her or to influence her sense of freedom and expression, to put it politely. Now, Meghan's is super interesting because hers is in a sign called Ardra. That is Gemini type 2 to 5. And Ardra basically represents wisdom and fortune that comes after very painful experiences. So Meghan sits in the 12th house. So a few things here. It indicates her wealth will come from a foreign land. Number 2, she'll be better at investing her money. Number 3, because Mars is in the 12th house, it shows there will be conflict over her inheriting or consistently having access to that money. But also it indicates you can't threaten her with money because she knows how to make it herself, and she's very determined to create a stable foundation for herself. And what's really interesting is in Meghan's specific chart, yes, the thing that indicates her wealth is influenced by her husband, but it's showing she educates him about money. The second thing I thought was really interesting is when we look at the placements that represent their husband. So Princess Diana's is in a sign called Shavana. You'll know that as Capricorn type 4 to 7. A quick rundown, this indicates her husband. Gotta remember, her Saturn's retrograde. So 1, he'll have childlike emotions. 2, he really wants people to compliment him and think highly of him. 3, he'll be quite temperamental. Link it back to the idea of like a child who can't control their emotions or they can't take criticism. And Shavana's ruled by the moon, so it indicates her husband will have a very strong and unique bond with either his mother or a mother figure in his life. And that's super important because Saturn and Jupiter do not like each other. So it literally shows her husband will be somewhat antagonistic to the way that she communicates to the public, how comfortable she feels, and could cause some form of distress to her own ability to cope, problem solve, and just feel good. So what's really interesting, Meghan has the exact same placement. Saturn and Jupiter are conjunct in the 3rd house. But what makes her different is Jupiter is in a sign called Hasta. You guys will know that as Virgo type 4 to 7. Whilst Hasta is ruled by the moon, showing that the man again has a wonderful, unique, he has something going on with a mother figure in his life and he holds her in high regard. Hasta is a sign of healing, and it also is a sign that's very entertaining, it's diplomatic, it's a great speaker. Yes, Hasta individuals have a blocked throat chakra, which indicates he himself will have issues communicating his emotions, but there is a huge capacity for him to change and heal that. Meghan's moon sign is in the same place as her Jupiter and her Saturn, which shows the relationship is very destined. They can build a lot together because Hasta talks about it will, whatever you're seeking, it will place in your hand. That's what hustler's all about. Relationship is literally emotionally so fulfilling, and it's also this regard. What makes it different from Princess Diana's experience is because of the placements in Meghan charts, it literally show her husband will literally soothe any mental agitation she has. He will try and give her the words. He will reaffirm. He will literally move heaven and earth to make sure this lady is comfortable expressing herself. Also, Hustler has a great ability to heal, go therapy, and really sort out any mess it has. Whereas Shavana, again, because that childlike thing, we know they're stubborn. They have a hard time really listening to the right people. Princess Diana did not get a good spouse. And I think it's interesting that Meghan and Diana have the exact same placement for a husband, both in moon ruled star signs, but the key difference is the sun is obviously being able to step up as a partner, whereas the father did not. Kate's husband placement is so scandalous. So essentially, her Jupiter's in a sign called Swati. You guys would basically know that as the Libra types. Swati literally indicates a powerful man, an intelligent man, adventurous, high drive, but very careless. And as much as fun as he is and as much money he'll bring to the table, he does not take criticism well. So again, in both sons, we're seeing similar karmas play out as it did for their father. Also, Swati individuals, when they're unbalanced, can have huge issues with anger, alcohol issues, basically substance abuse or addictive behaviors. And their moods change a lot. Think what I said about Princess Diana's husband. There's also something very spicy associated to this, but TikTok is not the place to talk about it, so please go and check out my Patreon. Then what I thought was really interesting was their Saturn placements. So Princess Diana's is, her Saturn's in retrograde. It's in a sign called Uttarashada. That's basically Capricorn type 1 to 3. Uttarashada literally means the invincible one. And it literally, in her chart, it specifically shows she would basically be forever remembered as this like almighty, just like the best person, the best spouse. What was juicy about hers is her Saturn is in the same sign, which in the Queen's chart, Uttarashada is in a sign called Ketu, which represents the Queen's past life. Diana and the Queen's relationship would have been really interesting. And I think for Charles, he basically has always had to deal with some sort of inadequacy he has around strong women. Because essentially, Princess Diana and Queen Elizabeth share a lot of like the same past life energy. But it also talks about if someone has Saturn in Ketu synastry, it means out of one of those two people, someone's going to have a loss of reputation. And the key thing for women is how to handle weak men. That's one of their karmic lessons. Oh my God, Meghan also has Ketu and Uttarashada. So just to recap, Meghan and the Queen had their past life planet in the same sign. Princess Diana, her Saturn was in that sign. I mean, look at God. Princess Kate, her Saturn's in a sign called Jitra. You guys would basically know that as Libra type 1 to 2. Long story short, Jitra is symbolized by a pearl, and it talks about someone learning to take responsibilities for their action, work past superficiality, materialism, and basically allow their soul to actually shine. It was so short for time. I think the last thing that I think is super spicy when I looked at their charts. So, in Vedic astrology, we have something called a karmic axis, right? It represents someone's destiny, karmic debts they're going to have to pay. It holds a lot of powerful information. All three of these ladies all have something conjunct with Rahu, which is their destiny, which talks about getting a lot of fame. However, it's only Princess Diana and Kate who share particular placements that show that their life force is deeply impacted, and in both their charts, their husbands influence the longevity of their lives. You get what I'm saying? And what's interesting, last thing to finish on because we're so short for time, there's another chart which literally represents someone's marriage. Kate and Diana have the exact same placements in their marriage chart. Kate is going through very similar situations to what Diana went through, and Kate has a huge capacity to do like exactly what Diana did when she left. I have so much more to say, but it was short on time. But yeah, this here, very fated, very karmic, very interesting. To recap, Diana was always meant to be queen and would intimidate Charles because she's literally like another version of his mother, but glamorous. Kate has a similar chart to Princess Diana in terms of conflict with her husband. Meghan is actually a darling. She literally exists to make them confront generational curses that have been plaguing their household. The holy fucking trinity of bad bitches.